I have to call the regular meeting to order. We're here in acceptance of the minutes of the March 12th, 2025 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. We got the monthly operating report summary, March 2025.
So any questions, just let me know. Average 3.8 million gallons a day. Removal efficiencies were almost 96% BOD, 98.6% TSS. Effluent ammonia was 0.5 milligrams per liter. We were 51 pounds under the limit for nitrogen, so 82% removal. 22.7% cake solids, and then starting last week, we put on the UVs and are testing for phosphorus, so that will be in next month's report.
Questions? Okay, moving on, got the project engineer report, current report dated March 2025.
So pump station construction repairs, Denwood pump station, we had a high amp alarm, we ended up pulling out some rags and debris, put it back online, we didn't have any problems with that. We also had to reset pump 2 at Oakland, we had a power blip during the storm. Hydro pump station, we received our rebuilt pump from them. This was actually sent out 2 years ago, but our main sales rep there had passed away, so kind of got held up for a little bit. Finally got it back online. Both pumps they're running fine, but that's one of our larger stations, so we have the critical spare now ready to go if we need it. Harlan Road, both floats were replaced. One had a bad switch, and the second one was a probable electrical issue. Either the wire got pinched or something simple with it. We also replaced the battery jumper cable at the Yukon pump station. This is part of our monthlies that we do. We also had a violation from Yukon for the MIU permit. They exceeded their total petroleum hydrocarbons. And it was kind of ironic because the week before they told us we were getting very high dissolved oxygen demand here. So we kind of thought something was coming into the plant. We also got really good D-night during that week, almost better than we typically do. And sometimes ethanol, methanol, alcohol, I'm assuming any of those could be petroleum hydrocarbons, will give us D-night for the bugs. So we're thinking that could have been some of it. Their permit's only 315 gallons a day, and they just exceeded it on their parts per million, not their flow. But when we add micro C or any ethanol or anything for denitrification here, we only add 100 gallons or so. The 300 gallons could have been plenty to do it. So we're still kind of trying to see what happened, but we didn't have any permit issues. It's just something we're trying to test. So we dye tested to see if they did, how long it takes to get here. And it's exactly 33 minutes from the pump station here. So we were able to kind of correlate it with some of the trends and everything.
That's faster than in the car.
It rips down that hill. When you open the manhole right where your oxygen comes down, I mean, you could probably boogie board through the pipe.
You can do, yeah.
Just curious, is there any recourse?
Probably not.
No?
So years ago, before you were on the board, they had mercury discharge. DEP and Department of Public Health got involved, and at that point, it was, oh, we actually didn't have mercury discharge. But the problem was our tanks were green and it killed all our biology. So something definitely came in.
So then what happens or prevents them from doing it again?
If there's, so their permit for the MIU is only quarterly, so they literally sample once every 90 days. So my question to the engineer was, if your permit was 120 milligrams, and I think the result was 7,280, it's not like it was a little over, it was 7,000% over, right? Did you sample again? It's like, well, we don't sample quarterly. So I don't know if it happened that day or for 70 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I going back, we've gone through these agreements for years.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, I think, are done with good faith, like, with no penalty, hey, if something happened, to figure it out and stop.
Yeah.
What we have found over the past 15, 20 plus years, that we're gonna send you whatever we send you, and there's really nothing you can do about it, and the people sending it to us don't really care because they don't have to deal with it.
And some of them don't know, which is true, but it's, if,
To truly, not to interrupt
No, no,
you
go ahead.
about it, but to trace it and find it takes a lot of effort as well. So like if it comes from Avon or Canton, it could come from anywhere.
So what's the disruption though within the plant when that happens? Like,
so
what's-
we knew something came in because typically our deals run 1,700 CFM on the blowers, so we'll run like 2 milligrams a liter and then 0.8 on the anoxic side, just to pump lower DO to the anaerobic zones. And or instead of running one blower at 40 hertz, we were running 1.5, so one was 60 hertz and the other was probably 25, 30 hertz, like really low. But cold water holds DO better, so typically you see even less in the winter, and we were seeing more than we see in the summer. So a couple of us were like, the hell's going on? So Sean grabbed some ammonia samples. Typically we're 16 to like 28, he was getting like 40s. So there's a lot of ammonia coming in. We didn't test petroleum hydrocarbons because we don't have the equipment. But when they emailed us a couple of days after they got it, it correlated with all our trends on SCADA. So that's the only thing it really could have been. The positive thing was, like I said, any ethanol, alcohol, methanol, any of that stuff, the bugs will consume. Right, it's food. So we got decent numbers from it, and it didn't hurt us, but it ramped up the blowers and the ammonia and that. So I kind of like to know what they sent, because it was beneficial to an extent, but it's gonna, like Russ said, they won't test again now, so probably July. So if they violated in July and then the third quarter in October, then I think we could say, hey, we're gonna do something, or you can fine them. But if it's once every 8 years,
Really hard.
yeah,
So UConn is its own little entity, meaning they have their own program and the state of the DEP has already approved their testing and sampling and all that, their procedures. We really don't control it. We've asked, we do things. What was the other place that came through? Was it the exchange? We sent something like copper or something?
yeah, I remember.
I remember that the film, for CBS and
Yeah,
It was something,
it was silver.
silver, was it silver? Something
Yeah.
came through crazy.
That's so very bad.
And we, chased it and found it. And they stopped, then they discharged, they did something, they took it and pulled that out, they didn't put it directly into the sewer. But.
Something like Serve years ago when they were on 10. They kept violating whatever chemicals they were using for the cleaning.
So they were putting it into the septic system, because they're not on the sewer. And that's what the neighbor next door kept, there's a bandit full in. And they dump it into their toilet, and their drain, and they go to the septic, and get into the, this, leach out. and
Yeah.
clog it.
So my last question is, are we keeping track of the number of times these violations
Yeah.
are occurring?
and to put it in perspective, in like 8 years, it's been 3. So it's not a lot, but if this happened quarterly, we pretty much have a meeting with them.
Right, we've asked, and I asked Mark to contact the DEP.
Yeah.
Or let contact there. And now, but it's kind of like, you got DEP, you gotta go after UConn.
Department of Public Health,
Right,
yeah.
it's kind of like a weird dynamic, just because nobody's really gonna wanna point the finger at another state department.
Yeah.
If we knew that Kevin's business discharged it, well, they'd wanna have him brought onto the
Yeah.
Harper Current, because we a private business.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we're fighting with it, but the state isn't gonna fight with the state.
Yeah, and the last time was hard, the last time was worse because it was mercury, and it literally, we were seeding our plant with bugs from other plants for almost 2 months. It took a while to get everything back, because of course it happened in the winter when the growth rate is low. So we got DEP involved, Department of Public Health got involved. And then even though we had all the trends, you could just look at the tank and see what happened. It was, oh, oops, we thought we got rid of mercury and discharge, but we actually didn't. And it was like, that's pretty much how it went, so.
What happened when you exceed the permit levels?
Us,
Yeah. Or.
so if there's like, they'll get a violation, similar like we would get a violation. If we get a violation because there's a storm, like typically we don't have them, right? If there's a storm, and I think the last one we had, it was a UV one, and what happened was the banks have to warm up because there's so many lamps, so they have like a 10-minute timer per bank. And it was that storm that, everything flooded. So it came in so quick, we literally went from probably 6 million to 16 million in like 80 or 90 minutes. I mean, it was just, oh, jeez. So the PLCs were turning everything on, it just came in so fast, we probably had a couple million go through before it came on full time, so then we adjusted the timers and we know now, but until that happens. You don't know, so it's,
is 21.
yeah, that was it, so. If something like that happens, I mean, the state understand, you're one of 100 plants that had an issue, right? If you had a TSS violation where. Let's say you were blowing solids and you had 3 clarifiers and we were only running 1. They're gonna be like,
We get written up.
what are you doing?
Could get fined.
You know? Now, if you have all 3 tanks on and you have polymer going to settling and your RAS is on, it's like. There's nothing you can do. I mean, there's been times even at a pump station, my guys go out like Patrick Flood and Isaiah or whatever, it was.
Yeah.
There's 3 pumps on. The wet well's high and it's coming up in the manhole out front and they're calling me in a panic, what are you doing? I'm like. That's it, you're pumping, 4,000 a minute, there's nothing else you can do. So, but not to answer your question, but they understand the situations, but
And it depends on the situation.
yeah,
But if we consistently did not meet our permit,
you have an issue.
we'd get a violation, we have a meeting with the city, they come out and go through all of our records and make sure what we're doing, and why we're doing it.
And if you get really bad, you get an NOV, which is like a bigger notice of violation where they actually come down and instruct you to do things, which you don't ever want.
It's like the government coming over, they go
Yeah.
to the school system. We don't want that.
That's when you have like multiple violations, pump station issues, and for whatever reason that the municipality or the private company just refuses to.
They don't fix it. Plymouth, on the Plymouth was on, they're under another violation for years. And they're the one that they were funding thing. And it dragged on and on other years until they finally, they helped with funding and they got them to work on the thing. But we don't want that here.
No, we don't want to get out right there.
I don't wanna get off track, but something came up, do you hear much about starting to test for PFAS?
Yes. So we already had samples taken, in us, it's more so in the solids, right? Drinking water is gonna be in the water, obviously. Us, we've been taking solid PFAS for probably 2 years to test it. If I had to guess, they're probably gonna see a limit for 4 to 10 parts per trillion is probably where it's gonna be at. I don't know how soon that's gonna come. I know it's big with land application now, but it's coming. I don't know when.
We're beginning 5 years.
Yeah.
Along with.
And I know the issue now, what they're trying to decipher is like, okay, you give us 4 parts per trillion or 5 parts per trillion. Who was drinking water? Right, because if we have it for solids, what you pointed out is saying. And that's activated carbon, gasification. That's an RO system, you can do that, you're replacing the carbon every 6 months. It's a huge cost. So you can do it, it's just how much. Let's see. So yeah, UConn, we actually took some samples last weekend, we put a sampler in over the weekend, and of course, because we're looking for it now, everything's normal. And they won't sample again until the summer, so we'll see. Month of March, we began planting jet and back Farmington Avenue, we're gonna do early morning jetting for this, typically we. Would do down by Starbucks, Stop and Shop, down by Garden Street, those are all some of the early morning ones for traffic. Assist the highway in cleaning storm drains, Vito and Litchfield were inspected and cleaned, and we're currently cleaning out Lake Garda storm drain that had some debris in it. Nothing major, it's actually a pretty clean system, but we're just trying to clean out one that was in a homeowner's yard. Continued check right of ways, we began cleaning some last week, weather depending. We did fog inspections at Sparrow Pizza, Stadium, 15 Subway, Taco Bell, and Texas State Brazil, those are all on the wall. And then American Rooter is doing the storm drains on Mountainside West and Hawthorne. So Mountainside West is done, and they're currently working on Route 10 by Hawthorne. They're probably 50, 60 feet in there. The goal is to finish that first 200, 250 feet by this weekend. And then they might have their bucket and routing system on Hawthorne to get up to Forest Hills. Right now, we're just trying to find the manhole that's in between the streets. Cannot find it anywhere, so.
Real quick question.
Yep.
Do you guys keep track of which storm drains are cleaned? Like, are there certain storm drains that are cleaned more often than others?
There's,
Or like there are more problematic storm drains? And if so, like, have you guys seen what the issue may be, if there's more debris or?
we,
We get a lot of animal,
yeah,
clog them up for the most part. This one, it's on Hawthorne, it's at the bottom of the mountain at Forest Hills and taking on a lot of rock off the mountain. But yeah, with our MS4, municipal separate sewer system, that it's an unfunded mandate from the feds and the state. We have to go, we have a whole stormwater plan that we go through every year, we have sampling that we do. And from that sampling and those test results, is how we kind of dictate where we're gonna go clean the storm drain and manage that. For some reason up here on Brickyard, we have flush, we have clean, we have reflush, and the coliform counts are through the roof. And the only thing we can think of is there's some animals getting in there and doing the thing and living in there, but when we flush it, nothing comes out. We test it and the coliform is just.
we popped on a call for right out here, same thing, we went to flush it and no joke, the day we were flushing it, 2 raccoons ran out of the pipe. So it's like, we cleaned it, but a week later, it's probably gonna pop on E. coli again, but we try to keep it clean.
We have a whole master plan that shows what areas we cleaned every year. For that MS4 permit, we're supposed to clean our catch basin every year. We just simply cannot afford that. We clean them every 3 years, so we have about 4,800 catch basins. So we clean them roughly about 1,800 a year. And that's about what we budget for, highway operations budget.
Technically, the stormwater system is completely separate from the sewage. And the only reason why we do it is help with the equipment. Because we have the equipment at the town, for like a shared services, but in reality, there's no crossover.
No, it's just because Jim said we have the big back truck, that they will clean the line.
Okay.
So we save money on that end. Like you said, help each department help each other out.
Okay.
If the stormwater stuff falls under me, under engineering.
Yeah, we try to help with what we can, something like American Rooter for Hawthorne. I mean, there's rocks like this, so we have to use their equipment for
And
that.
it's not, this isn't getting, but ours basically took the lead on it because we started cleaning. And because of what we found, we couldn't handle with our equipment. So that payment, that work for that, getting paid for out of our highway department.
Yeah.
I have a.
That makes sense, this whole budget probably.
Exactly, I have a budget in environmental. That we pay for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it's just Mark is helping me out with taking that lead for that project.
March 4th, we finished installing a new Borger pump in the basement. This was one of the smaller Borger pumps, so the Swabby pump had failed like several of the other ones, so I had just attached some pictures, so you can kind of see we had, this used to be a straight section of pipe, so we ended up doing 245s to fit this. Had the electrician rewire it. See, one of the guys just finishing it, and then the last one, this is the old VFD. So you can see the size difference, and this is the 2013, even though the plant was 15 through 18. So it's probably a third of the size of it, but it has more option. And these VFDs are cheap. I think this one's only 1,700, so they're not that expensive, but that pump is up and running now, so
Hopefully not being China.
no. So one less thing to worry about.
Not for China.
He blinked.
Not for
You
China.
know it's gonna blink in the stock market.
Yeah, exactly.
He blinked.
March sixth, we put in the new ammonia probe. The existing one was, I want to say 25, 30 years old. This just helps track data similar to what we had, with the Yukon come in, so we can track all the ammonia. New battery backups were installed in the polymer cabinet. These are just UPS backups, so if it fails, the PLC still runs. March 14th, we put a new intrinsic barrier on the blend tank controls. These take out the float system when they fail. They put these in a bunch of the panels. It'll run without them, but it's safer for the environment if we have them in, so none of the gases and anything come back up and cause issues. We reprogrammed the effluent totalizer. We were just at the point where it was out as many decibels as it could go, so we had the company come out and add 2 more, so we should be good for another couple of years. Change the automatic drain valve on the compressor number 1 in the transfer building. These are just the compressors that use the air to mix the 2 blend tanks. Started the UVs up for a test on March 27th. 2 E. coli samples were grabbed and everything worked as expected. One was, I think, 4, and the other was non-detect. They're now on full time for disinfection season, April to October 31st. And I discussed before we put the Yukon sampler in, check ammonia, but of course, when we put it in, we didn't find anything. Under the nitrogen permit by 51 pounds. Yearly hearing test completed, and we got a new tripod for the crew. So this will help with all the confined space entries and permit required work. This was actually one of the things that we had a second OSHA inspection come through. I mean, ours was old, so they just recommended purchasing a new one. So we got a brand new one. It's a little bit lighter. It's easier for the guys to use. And it should be it.
Say the way you keep that pump in there is cleaner than most people living in.
So we ended up epoxying the floor ourselves, which actually came out really nice because everything was painted except the floor. So it made it look worse than it was. So we ended up repainting, but it came out nice.
You got that picture of it all? That's with Brian.
Oh, I don't on here. It's on my other computer. That's the best one.
So. With these pumps. How deep is, how deep in the ground is it? Is that about 20 feet?
This basement is, so if you take the secondary clarifiers and basically drain them, this is about 18, 20 feet deep. It's at the bottom.
Our former employee who left and went to NBC. Opened, changing the pump and didn't relieve the pressure.
And these are PD pumps, so there's a lot of pressure, right?
It's. So you started unbolting the pump and just sprayed it.
So we always say leave one bolt in, so if 40 PSI comes out, it holds the door from. Well, all the bolts were out. So when it opened, there was like a cartoon, like a splash mark on the wall. And this was 18 feet up and about 20 feet back. And we all laughed because we say you'll do it once and you'll never do it again.
You just see that, you'll never do it.
No,
Yeah, well, if it happens, you won't. do it.
You will do it again.
Yeah,
you want-
it's comic relief job.
Yeah, exactly. Throw a
Um,
little levy into the treatment system.
Are we getting close to put the meters in Avon?
refresh my memory, you mean calibrating them?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually just reached out to Andrews Hauser.
We usually do that in June and July.
Yeah, it has to be like, we do it because ours are by permit before July 31st, so we try to do it around the same time. I might try to do it May or June this year. I actually reached out to Tim Foster because we have him come out. And then once he gets back to me, we'll find out what they were gonna do.
We're not allowed to go into there, yes,
Yeah.
their Avon rep has to be on site when we go into the system, they have it on.
I would think you want to leave them, before the spring rain, heavy.
Yeah, typically, I mean, if they do it once a year, it's way under their permissible like limits. I mean, we're within, I think last year's under like 2%, so we're pretty good. But if we notice anything on our trends on the computer here, we typically go out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the problem is, they don't check,
Yeah.
and that's where all this flow comes from.
As far as you know, Avon doesn't have a program for tightening up their systems at all.
They did another filtration info study, and they were starting to do things to try and work on. Just They did a study about.
It came on in 17. It was a while back.
I think they did a II study with us on the, 2020 or 21 is the latest one. They've done one previous to that in 14. And I have I have one of them. It was basically, here's all your low hanging fruit, it was manholes in the brick area. The covers are off for whatever reason, they went and replaced, they put the covers back on, but that was about all they did, they didn't go forward with the project. And so now they're going, starting to do all that. Supposedly.
Yeah, we said that really would be an eye opener, and some heads would roll or something.
I would hate like hell to have to come to you guys and go, hey, we got $1 million bill for sewer. Is there anyone online?
No.
Okay. We'll talk about it. I'll get. Give me a little bit more.
And so the last thing is just a lateral report. Dumpster closed. He was collected with the building permit. Stevens Circle, same thing. $1,000 paid with the building permits for both. High Street, there was a repair. Farmington Avenue assessment paid, and Forest Hills Drive, $1,000 paid with the building permit.
Where's that hotel? Going forward, so is that called Pinnacle or is it?
I believe,
No, honestly,
yeah,
Oh, Bonds.
not down to carry.
Wait, not this 86, this is like 86 backs up to like.
Oh, sorry, this
Pinnacle.
is
No,
Pinnacle, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, good.
I was
say,
at the
there's
corner.
no way that it's getting done.
No, this is up top,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a new, that shades thing.
Yes, so it's going into Pinnacle.
Correct,
Yes, okay.
this is the last house on the
Yeah,
right.
I know where it is, yeah,
Or-
second to the last
second to
house,
last, yeah.
yeah, second to the last house.
Yeah, so South Limon Drive.
Yeah, right, yes, yeah.
could be everything.
Okay. New business. Unfinished business. Other correspondence. Any other business that? Will be recorded. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second. Any discussion? None in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, and now.